What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another player preview. This one is on Yusuf Nurkic. Now, the season starts 2 days from now. I have to wrap up this series before then. So tomorrow, we will have CJ McCollum's dropping in the morning, and then we'll have Damian Lillard's dropping in the evening to finally wrap up this series before we have 2 streams on Wednesday, which will be Blazers Uprise Live, going live at 3:30 p.m. That's when those streams will be going live during the regular season, and then we will have the post-game show after opening night. I'm also dropping a mailbag later on tonight, so we got 2 videos today, 2 videos tomorrow, 2 streams on Wednesday. Lots of content for you guys as we kick things off. If you want to ask me a mailbag question, go to the community tab. I posted a mailbag question prompt there for you to post your mailbag questions under, and I will answer those in a video later tonight. We also have a stream tonight as well. I completely forgot about that. That'll be going live around 9:30. We'll be predicting award winners this year. So if you want a ton of content, we got it covered. I've been spending a lot of time prepping for streams and implementing new things that we're going to roll out on Wednesday as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. It's the busiest time of year outside of free agency and draft week. So hopefully you will enjoy it all. With that being said, let's just jump straight into Jusuf Nurkic. Nurkic missed time last season with a broken wrist. He only played in 37 games and played 24 minutes per game. In those 24 minutes, Nurkic averaged 11.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. He shot 51.4% from the field, which included 52.5% from 2 and 40% from 3. He was 12 for 30. His free throw shooting declined. He only shot 62% from the charity stripe after shooting 88.6% in the bubble and 77% the season before that. So as we head into this season, it is a make or break year for Nurkic. It's a contract season. He's going to be playing for a bag, and he's now in a situation in which he has no more excuses left. I don't think he was in the proper system and wasn't properly utilized offensively last year under Terry Stotts. Now he has Chauncey Billups, who has been singing his praises all offseason long, so it's a make or break year for Jusuf Nurkic. So let's just look at different aspects of his offensive game, and I'm going to get the most controversial aspect of his offense out of the way first. That is his finishing ability or lack thereof. Now, Nurkic definitely has some finishing issues. He's had this throughout his career, and he's shown flashes of being able to finish well enough to be a legitimate threat. I think the month or so before he ended up going down with that broken leg against the Brooklyn Nets in March of 2019, he was finishing the ball really well. He was playing phenomenal basketball, and in that game in which he went down with that injury, he had, I think, 32 points once that injury happened. Now, that was a double overtime game, so that definitely helped him pad his scoring numbers, but that game he was finishing extremely well, and he's shown some flashes of it. However, since coming back from that injury, he hasn't been a super consistent finisher. However, I don't think he's as bad of a finisher as people act like he is. He shot 52.5% from 2 the past couple of seasons. That's not good. It's definitely below average, but it's not terrible, and I am hopeful that he will be able to figure some things out and maybe have better finishing opportunities this season and be able to be more efficient on the interior. I think one thing he needs to do is try and finish high a little bit more. He loves to do all these finesse scoop shots and finger rolls around the rim, and whenever he tries to finish high, normally it ends up pretty well for the Portland Trail Blazers. Normally, he's able to finish at a higher clip, it seems like. I might be completely wrong on that. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, but I think his tendency to go finesse with a lot of his finishes cause him a lot of issues on the interior. So that is one improvement that I want to see him make this year. The second improvement that I want to see him make in order to finish better is just slow down a little bit. He's off balance a lot when he's rumbling towards the rim, and I feel like if he just slowed down and read the court and then made a move or made the right pass, he would be better. He would finish more and he would make the right play more. So I think he needs to slow down. A lot of times he'll barrel straight into guys, and if not, his only really other go-to move to get around them is to Euro step, and a lot of times that Euro step is off balance. I would honestly love to see Yusuf Nurkic add just a pound dribble jump stop towards the middle of the key. A lot of times he's catching passes on the pick and roll, and that's where he commits a lot of his charges, and that's where he has some trouble finishing. And especially when he's rolling towards the baseline on one side of the court, I would love for him to just catch the ball, 10 to 12 feet away from the rim, which he normally does, and then just pound dribble and hop towards the middle of the key. If he's able to get to the middle of the key, he's going to be a pretty hard guy to stop, because he's going to kind of get his shoulder past the defender and he can finish strong at the rim, or he's going to get doubled, and when you're hop stepping towards the middle of the key, you're able to see the whole other side of the floor. So if somebody helps, you're able to make the right pass out of that, and we know Nurkic can pass the ball. So that is a move I would like to see him add at some point. I haven't seen it yet this preseason, so maybe it's not coming, but hopefully under Chauncey Billups, that is something he can add, because I just think he needs to be more under control when finishing around the rim and on better balance. And instead of Euro stepping and then finishing off one leg, falling to the side, if he could just hop step into a jump stop in the middle of the key, he would be on balance. He wouldn't be falling, and he'd be able to finish strong. He'd be able to go towards the rim. So I wish that he would add that. That would be a great counter on the pick and roll if somebody steps up and tries to take a charge. There are other little things he can do to improve his finishing, but I think finishing strong as well as slowing down a little bit and being a little bit more on balance would be the two main keys to help him fix a lot of his finishing issues. Now, outside of that, I really like Nurkic's passing. His best passing moments come when he's hitting backdoor cutters, so I'm hoping that we have more of those in our offense this season. However, beyond that, I like him as a short roll playmaker. That's where him just kind of slowing down and reading the game is a good thing, because if players are stepping up on the short roll, then he's able to make the right pass. A lot of teams trap Dame, play two defenders high on Dame, and then rotate a third defender to Jusuf Nurkic. So that's leaving somebody somewhere else open once Nurkic is catching the ball, and he's shown that he can be a bit of a short roll playmaker, so I'm expecting to see more of that this season, hopefully with a better floor setup, because we've never set players up well behind a trap of Dame. So if he has teammates in more optimal spots, it should be easier for him to find the right guy to pass to. As far as his three-point percentage goes, it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. I have a goal for him that I'll state later, but as I said, last year 12 for 30, 40% from three, and he's been shooting threes this preseason, so it'll be interesting to see how many threes per game he shoots. At this point, I would let him shoot a couple threes a game. If he's wide open, I would let him shoot. Now, it does become a situation where if he's missing every three he takes, when should he stop shooting open threes? But at this point, I think he's shown enough flashes of shooting ability that you let him shoot the open ones and just see where his percentage lies, because we don't know what he is as a three-point shooter yet. He's not a 40% three-point shooter. That is a small sample size of only 33s, so I'm not counting on him being Karl Anthony Towns from the three-point line. But in order to figure out what he is as a shooter, you have to let him shoot enough to get a substantial enough sample size. So I'd say let him shoot the open ones. If he wants to mix things up and pick and pop here and there, I am completely fine with that. Now, as far as his defensive game goes, I think he's going to be better playing up at the screen. I think he has the mobility to do it. He has to be smart in terms of not fouling, but I think that'll come as he gets more used to playing up at the screen. We've seen him force some turnovers in the past when he went rogue, according to Stotts, and played up on screens, so it's going to be interesting to watch him do it on a larger sample size. Beyond that, I still like his rim protection. People act like he's not a good rim protector anymore, and I just don't see it. He's still a good rim protector, and he's not a guy who's bad if he's switched out on most forwards. And even guards, I think he can compete against when switched out there. He looks like he's in great shape. He's pretty agile. He can flip his hips if needed to be able to stay with a shifty ball handler. So overall, I don't think there's any area of defense in which he struggles outside of his foul trouble. A lot of his foul trouble comes on the offensive end as well, though, committing charges, illegal screens, and whatnot. So just because he has 4 or 5 fouls in a game doesn't mean, oh, this dude is just fouling like crazy on defense. He fouls a lot on the offensive end. So if you combine that with maybe a ticky-tack call here or there on defense, in which he might have been playing good defense, but the ref called a foul on him, then that's not an indictment on his defensive abilities. So you have to provide context with his fouling trouble. Don't get me wrong, some games he's reaching in too much and seemingly being a bit lazy on defense and fouling because of it. So I'm not saying that he doesn't have bad fouls, because he definitely does. It's just you gotta try and provide the proper context with them. Overall, he's going to be the key guy for the Blazers defense, the key X factor. I don't think he's our best defensive player, but he's our most meaningful, if that makes sense, because he's the center, he's the rim protector, he's going to be involved in a bunch of pick and rolls, he's going to be playing up on them a lot. It does help him having a guy like Robert Covington that can kind of be a backup rim protector if Nurkic is playing up on screen, so he does have another guy next to him, which will help him out a lot in my opinion. But given our perimeter defensive issues, which will hopefully improve but have been a struggle for a while, Nurkic as the rim protector in the center is the X factor for our defense this season. As far as usage goes in our system, it's going to be interesting to see what more Chauncey Billups implements in terms of his offensive system, because by all accounts he hasn't implemented everything yet. The Blazers are obviously trying to move the ball more, you can tell by preseason play, and we knew this was coming. So it's going to be a situation where Nurkic is going to get more touches in the half court simply because everybody's going to get more touches. It seems like that's what happens when you move the ball more. So he needs to be able to make the right reads. I like Nurkic as an elbow passer, or at the top of the arc as a guy that can catch the ball and hit a backdoor cutter, or go and hand it off to somebody and then he can roll or pick and pop as well if he's knocking down threes. And then he's going to be a guy making plays out of the pick and roll a lot in my opinion, especially if we're pushing the pace more and he's setting drag screens, which is basically where he's running next to the ball handler and then turns and sets a screen. Most of the time it comes in transition, and then the ball handler uses that screen and Nurkic rolls off of it. A lot of times those screens can be set pretty high, so if Nurkic is catching the ball out of those rolls, he's probably catching it around 15, 16 feet away from the rim. So that gives some space for defenses to rotate, but normally defenses aren't completely set, as it usually comes in transition. So Nurkic might be able to carve defenses up a little bit with his passing in that area. I've seen the Blazers run a lot of drag screens this preseason, so it'll be interesting to see how Nurkic makes plays out of them. As far as how many minutes per game he might play, I'm guessing between 27 and 30. His career high, not counting the bubble, is 27 minutes per game, which came in 2018-2019. He has to foul a little bit less in order to play more minutes, and he also has to be in shape in order to play heavy minutes. And I think the in shape thing, there's no question about it. This is the best shape Nurkic has been in coming into the season at any point during his tenure in Portland. And I mean, during his tenure in Denver too. You can definitely tell if you just go back and see what Nurkic looked like in Denver. So the dude looks like he's in great shape. He just has to foul a little bit less, and I think he'll be able to play around 30 minutes per game. In terms of a goal for how many minutes per game he should aim to play, I have 29 minutes per game for him. And the rest of these statistical goals are based on him playing 29 minutes per game. I've set an ambitious goal of him getting 17 points per game. I don't think it's likely that he reaches it, but that would be a good goal for him to try and get. In my opinion, efficiency matters a little bit more than if he's a 14 or a 17 point per game scorer. We'll get to that. In terms of rebounds per game, 11 rebounds per game is a more reasonable goal for him. I think he can achieve that. And then I want to see him get 4.5 assists per game. I had this at 5 assists per game. I think he might be able to get 5 assists per game if he's really utilized as a passer. However, I think 4.5 assists per game and 29 minutes per game is a bit more reasonable. And that's still a really, really good clip for a center. 2 efficiency goals for him. I want to see him shoot 54% from 2. For his career, he's a 50% 2-point shooter. And then the last 2 years, he was at 52.5%. So 54% isn't that much of an improvement over the past couple years, but 54% is at the point where you're looking at it and it's like, okay, that's efficient enough. especially for a guy who's struggled finishing his entire career. My 3-point percentage goal for him is to shoot at least 35% from 3. That might seem a little bit low considering his 12 for 30 and 40% shooting clip from last season. However, if he's going to be shooting multiple threes per game, I think over a larger sample, he's not quite that caliber of shooter. So I think around 35% is a good goal, because if he's shooting 35%, defenses have to respect it, defenses have to get out on him, and then that opens up things for the rest of our offense. So anyway, that wraps up Yusuf Nurkic's player preview. Let me know what you think about Nurk down in the comment section below. I know he's a pretty polarizing player, so I'm curious to see what is said about him in that comment section. Make sure to subscribe, ask a mailbag question in the community prompt, and then check out the mailbag and our stream later tonight, and then we'll finish up player previews tomorrow. I hope you guys are as excited for the season as I am, and I hope you have a good rest of your Monday. Until I catch you next, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.